All right. I am joined by Richard Valtr, founder, Mews Systems, coming to us. I believe you're in New York, right?
I am, yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. It stopped snowing, so it's pretty nice. I feel like spring is coming, vaccines are coming, and I think like I saw a chart, or at least I posted it yesterday on LinkedIn, that shows that we should be at 700 million vaccines in the US by July. So the whole of the US should be done by Independence Day. So I
Yes.
feel like it's pretty. It feels like the beginning of the end, or at least the midpoint of the end.
Yes, I'm with you. And it stopped snowing here too, by the way.
Yeah, are you okay? Like, are the like waves caving in, or is it like?
I still have no water at my house. Well, how has your personal experience been um, throughout the pandemic?
Um, Strange. Like, I've really, really got to say, it was a strange year. So, like, I think, as you would know, we raised our Series C with, sorry, Series B, with battery back at the kind of tail end of 2019. A big chunk of that was really to kind of come here to the US, create a kind of big team, really, really take on the local market. Give Oracle a run for its money. Um, and just I think we were doing fantastically well scaling in Europe. Really, really had a great thing going in APAC as well. So everything just seemed incredibly kind of rosy. I think the pandemic hit. It was basically just a month after we had this huge NewsCon basically in Europe, where we invited about 450 of the people that were working for us at the time. And after we spent essentially kind of 6 months trying to hire these people and getting them into the company. And it was strange. We looked at it. We, like, everyone in the leadership team, had these kind of 2 weeks when we were just looking at the market, and we basically ascertained that there's no point trying to invest all this money into sales for the next 12 to 18 months. So let's just revert course, basically. Let's just really, really put that money um, into our tech teams and product teams. Let's make sure that we're basically building, features that nobody else can outcompete with when this pandemic is gone. And if we get some sales and if we get some growth, then that'll be fantastic. And if we don't, then at least we're kind of secure as a company, and we can just kind of get going again after the pandemic's gone.
Right.
So
Very.
that was the plan. And it weirdly, like, we still grew at like more than 65% basically last year. So I think that's like one part, which is, I think the pandemic has woken up a lot of different companies, that they basically said, it's that thing of like, what made you grow, or what made you make those kind of like big decisions? Was it the CEO? Was it the CFO? Was it COVID? And we did actually see quite a lot of that, and quite a lot of people that we've been talking to for a number of years that were always kind of a little bit reluctant to come to us, because they wanted to see maybe a little bit more traction. They wanted to see us develop some sort of different feature set. And I think this was the year that a lot of those customers just said, you know what, we're just going to go into it.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you, what has Muse been working on lately?
So I think, like, we basically kind of announced the two main kind of projects that we were going to be kind of working on. I think even back in April, and it was one of these things where you have certain dreams and ambitions, but as you're scaling, you kind of, there's always things that you have to build because they make the most economic sense, and there's things that you want to build because, well, the market isn't basically kind of there, but you just think that they're really, really cool features. Um, and so one of those for a long time was this thing that we internally called space time. And that, to a certain extent, it's basically about divorcing all of the individual room attributes. And for example, even the price, also the prices that you're able to kind of look at them through. So, I think just to kind of look at it, the way that we see that the hotel industry works on a kind of atomic level is that basically rooms themselves are packages of different attributes, like, and those attributes also have a specificity to them. So a balcony on the third floor is not the same as a balcony on the seventh floor or the 21st floor, and those things also have different prices. So if you're able to actually kind of divorce the attributes from the actual kind of room type or the room name, that's going to be much, much better. And also, if you're then able to kind of think about the way that you charge for it, so that, for example, you don't need to actually kind of stipulate that it's per night, but you can charge for those spaces, per minute, per hour, but also per week, per month, per quarter, per many, many different years. That added in with the way that we think about, payments products and things like that, and adding in an entire kind of fintech atmosphere to the whole thing, just make sure that you can actually kind of think about what it is, the asset that you're actually kind of selling in a completely different way. I realize that that's quite kind of technical, but
there's a lot of this audience is really going to enjoy that. It's okay.
So, and we think that it's great for all of the kind of tech partners as well.
Yes.
And all of the different, we've always been a company that thinks about our open API. We think about, our marketplace. I think we're really, really proud to have seen a lot of companies achieve their first scale through the fact that they're able to actually just so easily connect with us,
right.
And, then raise their seed rounds, their Series A's off the back of basically kind of working with us and with our clients. And, if we do more and more in terms of that tech, it's going to give them more and more options in terms of where their own product development can go. And it's just about basically kind of like, having that optionality.
Which
so I think
which leads us right into our companies are working on a two-way interface.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's fantastic. I think like almost, I want to say that it's live, or at least I've definitely seen quite a lot of kind of like the beta testing basically around it. So yeah.
I've been told to watch my mouth. They only tell marketing and sales just what we need to know. Maybe they tell you more.
Like it's more that basically like what's great about the pandemic is that so I'm over here in the US, and before that was a bit of a challenge with all the different kind of time zones, and now we record every single meeting that we have. So I basically kind of spend, when Europe dies down, I can basically kind of look at loads of the internal meetings that I would have not been able to actually be part of. I can look at the recordings, basically. I can look at those types of things. So I can look at, what the product team's doing, what all of those others. So it's actually just fantastic, I think, for us as a company to be able to work and think in this way.
Yeah, that's interesting. The world is flat. I mean, it almost just doesn't matter where you're at. Fantastic. Yeah. So crystal ball time. You seem pretty optimistic at the beginning of this conversation. I mean, are we going to be moving freely in the summer?
100%. I think in this country, like I'd be shocked if the whole country doesn't get reopened in May. And I think if you look at basically how the US is already kind of reopened versus Europe, I think Europe still has basically a while to go, but the US, I think like by May that's going to be kind of done. And I think what we're not ready for as an industry is the demand shocks. Basically, we've already suffered the demand shock when it goes the other way, and I think now we're basically about to kind of get into a different type of demand shock. And and like it's great for companies like us, basically, that it helps our story. It helps basically why, and you guys as well, basically, it's like why you should have real-time communications, why you should be thinking about different ways of monetizing the customers, different ways of setting up your distribution options, different ways that you can actually kind of think about your revenue pricing, and personalized experiences and things like that.
Well, Richard, we are out of time. I appreciate you so much for joining me. Let's do it again.
Great to see you as well. Thanks so much.